Welcome to Flip the Script with Vic, a sacred space for honest, unfiltered, and sometimes taboo conversations between women walking the path of truth, healing, and soul remembrance. What started as my personal exploration has become a communal prayer, a podcast devoted to amplifying women's stories in their own words. I'm your host, Victoria Nielsen, intuitive healer, mama, and space holder for the divine feminine. Here, we gather as cycle breakers, mothers, mystics, creatives, witches, and wild ones, flipping the script on what it really means to be a woman in today's world. Through raw interviews, intimate solo casts, and brave conversations, we'll chat about motherhood, mysticism, psychedelics, spirituality, and more. You'll be reminded that your voice matters, that your truth matters, that you're here to walk in beauty. So be the prayer, and let's flip the script. Are you ready? Let's jump on in. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Flip the Script with Vic. It's your host, Victoria Nielsen. I'm already grinning ear to ear. If you're listening to the audio and not watching the video, I think you should switch to the video because my guests and I today are going to have so much fun. We've already been laughing and crying a little bit backstage. Miss Carrie Waible, I'm so excited you're here. You're a communicator, a speaker. You did your own broadcast for a while. Like, what have you not done? And I feel like we're going to talk about probably none of that today and just go on a tangent. But I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. We can talk about anything. But isn't that what your whole platform is about? Like, let's just roll with it and figure out who we are and why we're here.
Exactly. And I was looking at your history, and I would love for you to share more of who you are with the guests, because I feel like you have such a breadth of knowledge and of a beautiful career, a 20 plus year career. And now you span between three beautiful cities, between New York City, Sag Harbor, and my new favorite, Paris. It sounds like you're living the dream life, sister, but I'm sure it didn't start that way.
Yeah, it does often look like a dream on the outside, and it is very much a dream on the inside. I won't deny it. I've taken a lot of care more recently, in more recent years, to really craft a life that I want versus a life that's kind of happening for me. But that's no complaint about anything, because back to where you were asking, I started my company. So I run a full service marketing and communications company. And we do everything from event production and content production to publicity and, all kinds of things. Like anything that our clients need in order to put themselves in the conversation, that's what we're there for. And I started that company when I was 26 years old. So it was now almost 23 years ago. And it was totally on a whim, a little bit of a fluke, the suggestion of a friend, and started the company and just started rolling with it. And I have done a lot of things. You're not wrong. I think that first and foremost, I'm a curious person and I'm a lover of life. And so in my career, that has led me into all of these places where I just say, yes, 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 I'll do that. And across, a solid majority of those years, I said yes so much to the external that I hadn't really focused on the internal. So where I sit today is me in progress, as we all are, but certainly in progress of something that started around 2021. So 5 years ago, I started waking up to the fact that I should be a bit more active participant in my own life and in my own self and be a little more self-focused instead of the natural reflector of all the energies that I am.
I love that because I feel like it was probably around that time as well. I had just had my first son at the end of 2019. 2020, I feel like for everyone, right, was this kind of like big awakening of sorts, soul searching. And then 2021, I believe a lot of us had little seeds kind of planted of awakening of, oh, wait, there's more. Oh, wait, it doesn't have to be like this anymore. Oh, wait, who am I in all of this? And am I living the life that I want to be living, or am I living the life that I've been told I should be living at this point? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like growing up, I was brainwashed with girl boss culture of like, you go to school, you get the career, you get the job, everything's going to be amazing. And I lived in New York for a while. It was great until it wasn't. Like,
It's true. And I think my biggest challenge was that it was amazing. I mean, everything was so incredible. I am so happy about the career that I've had so far and the things I've been able to do and the people I've been able to meet. And especially in the production worlds that we live in, like producing with amazing human beings who want to level everything up as much as I do is just something that it's a gift. And it's something that I'm so grateful for. But it also was kind of a little bit at the expense of me paying attention to myself. And in that time when definitely the whole world was going through all this change, and I didn't really think it was about the pandemic, maybe it was, but in 2021, I had kind of a crack your life wide open moment when I was on an event in Venice, Italy. And I came home from that and I was like, wait a minute, what have I been doing? And so I started reaching out to a lot of friends who I have a really multi-generational set of friends. And I started reaching out as it happened to a lot of the older women in my life who are probably 20 years older than me, 15 to 20 years older than me. And I started expressing what was going on. And they were like, Kara, that's totally normal. You know, you're fine. This happens to everyone, da, da, da. And one of my friends said, what's the one thing you haven't done in the last 10 years that you really wanted to do? And I said, live in Europe. And she said, okay, what else? What else haven't you done that you want to do? And I thought about it and there was a lot of silence. And I said, live in Europe.
Actually,
right? So that was the beginning of me being able to count Paris as part of my life again, because I'd spent time there in school and I'd lived there for a year when I was 20, 21, somewhere in that age range. And it was the first place I felt truly met. It was the first place I felt myself come alive and feel free. And I hadn't realized that I hadn't been in touch with those specific emotions in a really long time, because I had been in touch with so many other amazing ones. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just coming back to yourself is something that is just remarkable. And it took the space of the last few years for me to understand that that's what I was doing, that that's what that trip to Paris and staying there for a month in 2022, that was the start of me coming back to myself, my true self, maybe my childhood self, maybe my, I don't know, whatever. It was the beginning of that.
The so, you.
The meest me.
Yeah, I've truly.
That's well said.
I love that you followed that spark of intuition, though, because a lot of people won't, or they'll ignore it, or they'll think, you know, it'll come again. But our intuition, in my experience, is pretty quiet. And if you're not used to listening to it, if you're not used to hearing what it has to say, it can be easily overridden by everyone else's voices, by all the stories that you tell yourself. But it's those kind of unexplainable leaps of faith for me have been the biggest game changers in my life. When I left New York City on a whim to move to Birmingham, Alabama, when I took a trip to Paris it wasn't on a whim. I wanted to go on the retreat, but then my schedule shifted and I was able to go. And I could have said, oh, it's too last minute. It's in a month. That costs too much. I'm not worth it. And instead it was like, no, follow that intuitive nudge. And I came back from Paris like upgraded, just being in the city of beauty and art. And I mean, truly, women, we need to surround ourselves with more beauty and with more art and with more like old architecture. And like, I felt like I blossomed and came alive in like a whole new way that's not even possible in America just because we don't live that way.
It's exactly right. And of course, you probably know you were in an energy center too. I mean, Paris is a major throughway of energy. So, which I only recently learned. And I was like, oh, that's maybe why I like it, you know? But it really does, it lights you up. And it's not everybody's place that lights them up. But when something lights you up, you have to pay attention, no matter what. When something pulls down on your energy in a negative way, you also have to pay attention. And then you really have to try and think about, how can I balance these things and come into myself? And that's not easy, and it's not a snap decision, and it's not just a yes or no in the moment. It's a practice, you know, and I've learned that more than anything. You know, there are things that we hear over and over again, especially now as so many people wake up to so many things. It's a practice, you know, you have to hear these things. And I think I used to be like, yeah, I got a lot to do. I can't do that.
Life is too short.
I know, but it proves itself again and again that you really just living in moments and inside yourself. You know, my therapist actually said to me at one point, stay with yourself and your desire. And I had it on a Post-it on my refrigerator forever. I think it's still there because it just might be a little covered up by other things. But it's such an important thing. And it's the thing that we forget as life just speeds up and things present themselves. And we say, it's just life goes on and on and on. And if we don't live inside ourselves, then we would experience it differently. So I'm excited for all the things that have happened that have led me to this moment.
I love that perspective and just being open to it, because you're right. People can overlook it and say, oh, it's just silly, or, you won't feel that way forever. Like, you'll move through it. It'll be fine. But when we listen, we come back to who we are and our deepest self. And I always teach women, through the 4 archetypes of a woman: mother, maiden, crone, and wild woman. And I love that you spoke to this multi-generational, friendships that you have, because I think that's so important these days. I don't think we have the village, or even really the healed crone energy to ask. In a lot of ways, folks, the crone is always, misinterpreted as like the crazy witch. But I feel like as you're on this journey, almost like back to your inner maiden and finding that wild, has there been anything that surprised you over these last 5 years? I mean, like you said, you've had over 20 plus years of beautiful career success, and now coming back to who you are over these last, bit. Do you find that some of those accolades don't matter as much, or more that you were striving or performing and now you're not performing and you're just being who you are, if that makes sense?
It does. It's such a layered answer. But I think the thing that surprises me still every single time is that when I keep showing up as myself and doing the things that bring me joy, the world reflects it back to me in a really beautiful way. People do give me accolades, but it's for being myself. It's in a different way. It's not like, oh, that was a great strategy, Carrie. We made X million dollars. Thank you. Which I love. I love the ability to help clients do what they need to do, and make money or bring their message out or whatever the goal is. But I think that for so long, I thought that was my value, was that I'm really good at my job. And I love working. Like, I'm obsessed with working and productivity. So it all worked well together.
Are you a Capricorn?
No, I'm a Gemini.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm a Capricorn moon. Does that mean something to your question?
Yeah. So Capricorn moon is you keep your emotions kind of tight to the vest. Like, you have them. It's not that you don't have them, but like, it can be kind of hard to express them sometimes. And then the Gemini makes so much sense for why you would have just so many different things that like you have wanted to learn about and be a part of, and that you're like a natural connector in that way. So like, your role in what you do makes so much sense, because you are the person with so many ideas for the marketing, but then you also are connected to, the videographer and the cameraman and like all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the hardworking, I was like, okay, you might have some Capricorn somewhere in there.
It's in there. It's in the moon. And my rising is Virgo.
Okay. So that's also very like structured, very rules oriented, very like, I'm going to build a foundation before I, take off and running. So people probably think you're a little bit more reserved than you actually are. But then when they get to know you, they're like, oh, you're pretty fun.
Yeah, it's like different, Actually, I think the biggest thing I always hear back to me is, I love your energy. I love your energy. Everybody says it. And I'm always like, yeah, I got, but now I'm starting to understand what people mean by that.
Good.
And
good.
Yeah, I did this. Have you ever done a Palladian reading?
Mm-hmm. I work with them through the Akashic Records. So they were like the very first like intergalactic beings I had ever worked with.
I mean, they're amazing. I'm obsessed with them. I want to hang out with them all the time. This reading that I did, I mean, it started with, hello, beloved one. I was like, yes, love you guys. But in that reading, what the Palladian said through, the person who was doing the reading was that I live in the light, and that whatever I do will attract. So I should do something that I love. And it was like such a permission slip. This was only a couple months ago. And I've been working toward all of these things. So I've been working toward a shift in my career, because basically what all of the last few years lit up for me beyond the fact that I wanted to live more internationally, beyond the fact that it was fine if I wanted to have a smaller team and a smaller physical business that did big things. I didn't need to grow a big business in order to be this validated, valued member of the marketing community. Like, it could be just a few of us doing really great things. So, like, check mark, like, great, live internationally, make your business work for you after you've worked for it for so long. I mean, I made my business my child for the majority of my life, and I don't have children. And so it was just, it went on and on and on. And I gave and gave and gave. And I'm happy that I did, but I didn't understand that by giving into it, I could also reap from it. And so that was a big, like, yep, okay, that was a huge realization. So all the things started to come together, and I started directing my energy toward things that I really want to spend the rest of my career doing. Because since I started my career so young in this sense, I mean, I started my career when I was, whatever, we all are, 22. But I started the business when I was 26, and I did so much so fast and so young that it's like, what am I going to do for the rest of my career as the person who loves to work and be in the mix and whatever? So I started writing. Over the last year, I found one the other day. I started writing, what are basically manifestations. This is what I want to feel like every day. This is how I want to live. Not this is what I want to do. This is how I want it to work. This is the structure
How I
way
want
I
to
know I
feel.
Yes. I mean, you know this, and I'm sure everybody listening right now who has been
But
attracted.
no, it's such a good reminder, like, especially like to be in the feeling of it and not just, oh, I don't know, I want to have the accolade of being on the TEDx stage. Okay, that's great. But like, what about it are you calling in, and why are you calling it in? Just because you think it's going to look good, or because it's actually aligned with your soul and what you're meant to be doing.
Exactly. So as I started painting the picture of what I wanted my days to feel like, what I wanted them to look like, I mean, from every little thing that, like, the time I wanted to sleep until, like, I feel best when I sleep until 8 o'clock. That's not how my world always looks, but I do feel best if I can sleep until 8 a.m. I want to wake up and I want to be, like, on my own for a little bit. I want to be able to exercise and do yoga and do these things. Then I want to be very much in the mix. I want to go to a studio, I want to record, or I want to be in front of a live audience. These are the things that light me up, because what I'm starting to do a lot more of now is go on live TV. And I'm planning a podcast right now that we're going to plan to launch this fall. And I'm doing things like this, where I'm just saying, okay, let's go on a podcast and flex the muscle and see what happens. Because I feel most alive when I'm with people and when I'm in a live moment. And I don't know if that makes sense except inside my own head, but when we're in the moment live, I'm zenned out. Like, put a bunch of lights and cameras on me and I'm so present. And many people, of course, get very freaked out by that, but this is where I feel my most present. It is my happiest thing. So I started saying, okay, great, let's do more of that. So in the last 2 months, I've started doing more of that and putting myself out there, and it's really joyful to see what happens, and it's really beautiful to see the response of people across every single aspect of my life show up and tell me, wow, Carrie, you're a natural, you should do that, So it's cool. It's very cool.
And you are, like, and you're giving me such permission too, because it's funny, I have a Gemini rising. So my sun is Taurus, but my Gemini is rising. And I have that feeling too. Like, I love being in front of the lights and the camera. And I'm like, let's chat all day. And well, until I hit a wall. As a projector, I have like a finite amount of energy. And then I'm like, okay, we're done for the day. But until then, like, I think owning that, our desires as women, so many of us were taught that they were wrong, or that they were bad, or that they're not what we should feel, or our desires are so wrapped up in perhaps the stories of others. I know for a long time, some of my desires, I'm a child of divorce, that I thought, going after my dreams meant that it has to break up your family, because that's what my dad did. My dad went after his dreams, and then we, divorced. Not true, obviously. So many layers of nuance and other things happening. But when you start to do some of this inner work, you start to do some of this subconscious work, you realize that you have perhaps bound yourself in these rules that aren't even yours, and in these stories that you've inherited from other people, or you heard from someone else. And, I that's why I just love having these conversations, because there's such permission slips for other women to realize that that dream was put there for a reason. Or if it feels good in your body, that's answer enough. That's all you need to know that it's a yes for you to move forward, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else, and it doesn't have to look like anything else. I know we want the cookie cutter mold, we want the like step-by-step example of what to do, but no one is going to have the exact same life, the exact same journey, the exact same experience as someone else. We're not made that way. And so find what your journey is, find what your passion is so that you can be in that nirvana more often than not. Then you can be in that joyous state where time is bendy and you're just enjoying yourself. Like that's the ultimate goal, I think. So I'm just so excited for you because I want to do what you're doing too.
Well, you probably are, because I think the whole point is like you don't even sometimes know what it is yourself. And I think for my strategic mind, who has built this business and done all these things and knows exactly how to get from A to B to C, supposedly, it's been a real wake up call to say to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to keep doing it. And the things that I can say that are the most important things to those moments of awakening and getting into the gorgeous bendy time. You're so right. It's like the most beautiful thing. The most important things are reaching out to other people you love, people you trust, sometimes people that maybe you're not sure how they're going to react even. Like put yourself out because it's going to teach you a lot about your own voice and the things that you really feel. And usually you realize you're not alone. I mean, every single person I reached out to with things that I was like in my chest about, like, don't say this, what are they going to think? Was like, Carrie, it's no big deal. That happens to all of us, And so if you can reach out and connect with people and you can listen so that you can connect with yourself and then just kind of play and see what happens and not be too tied to outcomes, it's like it all really starts to add up. And I still have no clue how this great experiment is turning out of my shift. I have no idea, but I'm doing it and I'm having fun and that feels so good. It feels so terrific.
I think more people should approach their lives like an experiment. Like I love that word. That's really all we're doing. No one really knows. Like I don't care who you are, what coach is trying to sell you that they know the exact right thing. Like we don't. We're all making it up. Like every certification ever in the whole history of the world has been made up by somebody somewhere. Yeah. So like, why would you not choose to believe, I don't know, the most joyful thing is going to happen to you, right? That you could have the most possible best outcome. I like to think I'm an overly optimistic person, but sometimes I'm really just like when you're in the flow and you feel how good life can be. Yeah. That's all I ever want for other people is to feel that good in their own life. And if you're listening and you're like, I don't even know how to get there, sister, I was you a few years ago. Carrie was you a few years ago. Like 100%. You got to start somewhere. And so starting in the I don't know is perfect because then you will start to discover what you do know, or you'll continue to define what you don't like, which is also good. Figuring out what you don't like is just as good as figuring out what you like. I know the liking is more sexy, but you got to do both.
It's so true. It's so true. And then you start to say, oh, I want more of the thing I do like. And how can I diminish the thing I don't? And there are realities tied to that. For me, because so much of this has been tied to my career, there are realities. I can't just let go of the thing that is like completely holding up my lifestyle, my finances, all of those things. And for my household, I mean, I'm not letting it go. But that's where I used my strategic mind. And I started to say, well, how can I have all these things that are making me feel really good while still holding up the things that, I want to start to move away from a little bit. I'm not saying goodbye to my business, but I need that time shift to change. I need to spend less time on those things so that I can spend more time on the things I want to do. So when you start to hear all of it, it really starts to line up for you. Not in one day or 1 week or 1 month. As I said, it's been about 4 years, 5 years almost. But, the lining up happens quickly after you do all of that work. And then you're like, wait a minute. And you get that, why is this all working so well? Well, it's because it's meant to happen that way, and because you did the work to help the universe respond and give you the gifts that you came here to live out, right? I mean, the gifts are inside of you, of course, but you know what I mean. The results, I guess, is a result.
Exactly. Because we all, coming back to that uniqueness, We all have a soul purpose and a soul gift, and it's different for everyone. And, following that path, of course, again, looks different for everyone, but it's what we are here for. And, yes, I believe in reincarnation. Yes, I believe you're probably going to have a couple more lives to figure it out if you need to, but you're not going to have that many more. So like, take advantage of the one that you have, take advantage of the awareness that maybe have after this conversation, and then start to make those micro shifts, because they are what adds up. It's not just that I did Kundalini one day. It's that I did Kundalini consistently over 40 days that brought something. We want that instant gratification, and I get it if your outside reality is not mirroring your inside reality just yet. You've got to hang on and you've got to trust, and that can be really hard. But then when the little things outside start to change and you finally start to see the things that you're calling in and see that energy move, it's really rewarding. But know that the shift is going to happen subtly and very quietly first, and that your outside may not match your inside. And that can be discouraging, but it doesn't mean that it's not working.
I think that's exactly right. And trusting in that and staying with yourself is really important. Trusting that it's going to keep going for whatever your greater good is. I write a lot in a journaling sense. Like, I just write. And if you or if anyone listening has ever done the artist's way, I did that early in this journey. Have you done it? You've done it.
Yes.
Yeah. And, that free writing, the morning pages that you do every day. I mean, I had already been doing that without realizing it, but I committed to it. And it's just like, just free write for 3 whole pages, just write. It doesn't matter what you're saying, and put it away. Well, from there, then all of a sudden you're saying some things that you want to revisit, that you're writing more, or I was. And then I started speaking things out loud as well. When I was walking, I just started talking and saying things.
I love that.
But I mean, it sounds hokey and wacky sometimes, or if you're not used to doing it, you might feel like, oh gosh, who's listening or whatever, but it helps because you're listening to yourself. Whether you're writing it, you're speaking it, or even just being quiet and listening to it in your own head, you're speaking to yourself and you're letting yourself absorb yourself again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. And that frequency is so healing. The actual frequency of your voice when you speak out loud, it is calming to your nervous system. That's why people that are nervous, like babblers, like there's a scientific reason that they do that. It's because their body is trying to help calm them down. So you start to hum and connect to the vagus nerve. I mean, man, that is going to chill you out like nothing else. But really, that's what starting my podcast for me. This used to be a solo cast, and now only in the last 5 or 6 months has it become a conversation. But it was so healing for me to hear my own voice and to just process my own thoughts and to speak aloud. And some of those podcast episodes never even made it to air. They were just for me to like alchemize and speak and know that I could. And wow, when you start to flex that muscle, I don't know about you. I was told to be quiet when I was a lot. I was a talker. Shocker. So that stays with you. You're told to like settle down, simmer down, be quiet. It's kind of really freeing to talk to yourself again.
It's true. And we need it. It's like at the end of it all, everything starts with us. Everything that we do in the world starts with us, and us connecting with other people and reaching other people and helping other people. It still starts inside of us, and anything that we're ever going to do. And I didn't understand that. I mean, I'm saying it so fluidly now, but I want to be really clear to anyone listening that is not how I used to roll. I still had all this great energy and all of these things, but I lived so externally that I'm a reflector. I heard you say you're human design before. You're a projector.
My husband's a reflector. Oh my God. Yeah. You guys are. I didn't realize he was until like very recently, and it explains so much. But yeah, so then no wonder also why you love, because you're always sampling everyone's energy to like figure out what you like.
Yeah. And then going, and yes, I still love that part of myself. I still love like bing bong, ping pong part. But it's been really a gift to live inside my gifts and start to really say, oh, there's proof that this could go somewhere. And if it doesn't go to, the thing is, like, I don't have an outcome fully in mind. Like, I have some dreams and some things that I speak out loud, but I'm not like, this is what it has to look like and this is what it's going to do. But of course, I have the benefit of having done something already that I was, that proved itself to me to be valuable and have an external success measure and all of those things. So that taught me so much and allowed me to be here today saying, just do what you want to do. It's not gonna, nothing. I say it to everybody else. Just try it. Just start. The whole world's not going to fall down. And I have found it so difficult to take my own advice, so difficult.
Well, I'm glad that you have, and that you're starting to surrender, and that you're listening and you're taking the baby steps. If folks want to follow your journey, work with you, have you live on their broadcasts, how do they get in touch?
So the easiest way to find me is on my website, carriewaible.com, or on Instagram at Carrie Waible, or LinkedIn, Carrie Waible. Just my name for everything. And I will say I love talking to people about things. So if something resonated with you, human to human, like I'm so there for it. You don't have to call to book me on something. Like I love, love, love people. And I love talking about things and being there for people. So it's just, reach out.
Yay. Oh, please do. Because everyone is right, Carrie. Your energy is amazing. If you guys have been liking this conversation, please like, rate, subscribe, review, share it with someone that just needs that permission slip to live their life full of joy, to try experimenting in life and having life be more of an experiment instead of a rigid set of rules and restrictions. Thanks for being here, guys. Be good to one another. I'll see you real soon. Mwah.